Hello there, and we've got a new set today. Somebody asked if we'd done a TTI TCB771. We hadn't, and so I have bought one in, and this had to come in from Europe. And I haven't paid this, but somebody's paid €120 for it somewhere down the line. So I'm competing with the NAV Not. It's finished. The radio news on the tannoy system has just ended. I've got builders in the next room, and let's see if I can be heard. So let's see what's in here. Probably a broken set. Yeah, well, the lids are off, so there we are. Really not bothered. So it looks like a new return, doesn't it? Done without the parley you've been missing. That is frustrating. Oh well, I won't have to unscrew it. You know, somebody's not clever enough to unplug the speaker, are they? They've managed to pull the wire off it rather than actually unplug it. Unbelievable. So it's not just people in Britain who do rather numpty things. Obviously people abroad do as well. Don't know what that extra board is. Oh, we can see what's happened here. It's been overvolted. So this may be one of these where I'm going to have to order parts rather than us do it in one job, so at least we'll have explored it. So what happens when you put too much voltage through is electrolytic capacitor, it's bulged and it's shot some of its juice out of it. So what's happened there is someone who's put greater than, it says 13.2 volts, they probably had it on 24 volts. So that's probably short circuit. So we'll just unsolder that. What you don't do is power things up with obvious faults like this. Now my retired friend Bob does. And then he wonders why he's got more faults. Just a bit difficult. I think it's stuck on glue, isn't it? So it was negative to the left. So we'll check that on a meter. Oh, bet that made a nice noise. So it's 1,000 microfarad. 1,000 microfarads at 16 volts. For that to happen, it's gone above 16 volts. So it's 720 with an ESR of 0.1. So let's get a new one out of stock. And we'll measure that. Well, 1,000 at 16. go. So obviously a few of the microfarads had escaped from the one which has been overvolted. So I'll put that in the bin. So hopefully, I'll just check for whether there's a short circuit on the power input. Just in case the protection diode's popped. Switching the set on. See if there's a short now. So there's no short circuit either with the radio switched on or off. So I feel safe that we can plug that in. Well, I'm going to have to pause the video because I'm going to have to see whether we can find a power lead for this kind of set. So I'll just go for a little walk. Okay, well, I had success. We happen to have got a TTI power lead in stock. So we'll switch on the power supply and we'll see what happens. Power supply is at 13.8 volts. The radio is drawing 180 milliamps. And wow, it's on Romania. Mind you, power lead's a bit short to go to the power supply, our power supply. So I wonder how we change this. Probably switch on with band button pressed. No. Switch on the scan button pressed. No. Read the instruction book. French. No, we've only got a French instruction book. Right. Looks like the AM/FM button from, not that I can read French. Or perhaps we have to have the mic plugged in. Looks like that's taken us to a reset. There we go. Oh sugar. I can't see UK on this. That might be a boo-boo. Don't tell me the TTI 771 doesn't do UK. does. Should be in there somewhere. Ah, there we are, UK. There we are, we've locked on UK. It's got bands on here that I don't see in the book. Right, we'll select channel 20. Connect it up to the test equipment and see whether we now have a working set. When I ordered this, I don't even remember it saying it was faulty, but then if I've ordered it from a foreign country, I might not have been able to read the advert. And of course it doesn't matter whether it's working or not, seeing as that's what we do here. Not got any hissing on the receive, so whether or not we've got a destroyed audio IC, which can happen. Let's see what happens on transmit. Yeah, it is transmitting. Let's go to picture in picture and we can see that together. So it's doing about 3 watts, which is about par for the course, isn't it? So we're going to have the transmit adjustments, possibly that one, there, there and there. That could be, so we'll start off on, yeah, we're on frequency, but I'll move the camera across so you can see that. We'll start off on the 3 watt scale because we're not quite at 3 watts and it might make it easier for us both to see. Let's see whether that makes any difference. So if we wanted to use this on EU band as well, we would set this to channel 40 of EU or channel 1 of UK. Because we only want it to work on the UK band, I'm doing this on channel 20 of UK, so the performance is optimised for the UK. As I've said a million times before, EU channels do not work here. So we're now at 3 watts. I think I bought this from somebody in France. And that would account for the French instruction book. So I've got about 3.1, 3.2 if you can hear me over the building work. Now I don't know whether this affects transmit or receive. It certainly doesn't affect transmit. So there is. I've got a copy of the instruction book, and I've managed to print off this, and it does say here what the controls do, which saves me faffing about. And it says APC, so that'll be automatic power control. And we've got TX S meter, which sounds like it's a real one, because most of the time it's a glorified transmit light. Receive, squelch, AM modulation. We don't need to touch that because we're not going to be using it in that mode on EU, but at least you know it is there. FM mod, which is deviation, and the power control. So we'll go for that one, and hopefully we will get more than what we've got at the moment, which is about 3.2 watts. No, you'd be so lucky, wouldn't you? No, that's where it is, and it's not unlike a lot of sets. But I've said before, our commercial test set here is selective to some degree, so what power it's measuring is all on the frequency we want, whereas a cheap power meter will read all the frequencies the thing's generating. So sometimes, you know, you have I've done this. There's the videos before I've done comparing power meters, and a CB set like this might well read 4.5 watts on a cheap meter, but when it becomes a selective meter like this, it is telling the truth, which is about 3.2 on the wanted frequency. So yeah, that's how it is. Not unusual. So we've got that as high as we are going to have it. I'm just feeling the temperature of the audio IC. I don't know whether this radio doesn't hiss when you have the squelch down, because it's got this digital squelch, or what. So we'll see. So let's look at deviation. So we've got about Warlow, we've got just over 1. So we'll just turn that up a bit, and its deviations that one. So we'll turn it up to about there, and then I'll just do the whistle test. Warlow. Now that's too high, so go back to this. Warlow. Just fractionally too high. Testing 1, 2, Warlow. That's it. We've got that absolute maximum of 2.5, averaging around 2.2. So that's that. That's come up fine, because you know some radios don't even have the deviation, which will come up. Cobra, you can take note there. So let's look at transmit power meter. So when I press transmit, I get a full set of bars. We know it's doing 3 watts, so it's the left hand adjustment. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it so it just does all the bars. At the end of the day, this doesn't mean much, but it does, at least on this radio. It is a real power meter that's telling you that it's transmitting. So many today, really starting in 2001, it's just the bar graph doesn't alter with the power, which is really disappointing. It just makes it a glorified TX light. So that's nicely set. So that was the control there, and then we'll just move the camera over to the other display on the test set for the frequency. So make sure we're on camera 1. I'm good at. Do you know? It's camera 2. I went to all that trouble to make sure I was on camera 1. It's camera 2 I want. What a wally. Okay. So it should be 2779125. Well, it's so close I'm not going to adjust it. And it's the trimmer capacitor. I'll tell you what, we will. It's just trimmer capacitor just there next to the oscillator crystal. See whether we can just bring that up a fraction. Okay, we brought it up to 28, 29. It's better slightly higher than slightly low, because they do drift down with age as the crystals age. So where we are, we set up transmit. That wasn't that exciting, 3.2 watts. So now we'll look at receive. It may be faulty because of the fault it's come with. I can't feel any heat on the audio IC. Right, so we want... I was last on doing that 2 meter set. We still haven't done the on the air test with the 2 meter set, as you well know if you follow these videos. let's just, in the hope of getting received, let's go over to that oscilloscope. I'll tell you what, we'll switch the oscilloscope on as well. So set 2779125 on my signal generator. There we go, 727.79125 on the signal generator. So we've got a full set of bars on receive, and as I turn the signal generator down, we can see the S meter going down. So he's receiving, but we can't hear anything. So have we got a Duff audio IC, as I suspect? I think under the circumstances that's what's going to have happened. Certainly nothing there. Just to prove that our equipment isn't Duff, I'll just sort this speaker out. I just can't believe that somebody's... You can see where it shot its load, that capacitor. There, you can't believe that somebody's managed to wreck the wiring to the speaker because they didn't notice that you can unplug the loudspeaker. You know, that really looks at some inexpert attention. I bet they're laughing their way all the way to the bank when I bought this, but of course we can sort it out. I don't often see these come up, so when I saw it come up, you know, it's like we missed the boat on these. They've been and gone, and you know, it's now a matter of getting a second-hand one. At least it came with the box. Right, I'm going to test that with the meter, just in case the speaker is no good. That out a bit. Let's see what that says. 7.5 ohms, that's fine. Because we could be really clever and use an impedance meter. It's not just a matter of reading the ohms. .5. There we go. So we'll just plug that in and just be absolutely sure, because the socket could be faulty. You know, it's just one of these things I want to double check. I'm not putting this in the wrong way around, am I? Yeah. So we've still got nothing. Nothing there. We'll just do with a little metallic screwdriver just to play with that control, that socket. No, that's fine. So we'll change the audio IC. That's usually what happens when they get overvolted. So we'll stop the video and we'll get that unsoldered. Well, it's nearly a week since we last were looking at this radio. So this is the magic of video. We pause it and we restart it when the next part comes. So to recap, I haven't reviewed the video, so I'm probably telling you everything 10 times. We've changed the capacitor there because it was blown up owing to over voltage. We've changed the audio IC, the TDA 2003. Since then I managed to find a circuit diagram, because we still had no power, and I traced it to an open circuit transistor which is just there, and what that is a 2SA, changes glasses, KTA 1241, which is just there, KTA 1241. So that clearly does switching of the power supply to the IC, and in the radio it's this strangely cased device. So it's not a TO92, it's got a little heatsink popping out of it. Just pop the camera zoom in. I've not seen anything like this before, and it's cost me a pretty penny to buy one. I think with the post for one it's cost me nearly £5. However, it still makes the radio cheaper to repair than to send back and to attempt to moan about it. Looking at what the vendor sells is normally baby clothes. I don't think they've pulled a fast one. I think it's a genuine bit of something that's happened. So there we go. So that's been changed, and now, hey, how wonderful's that? So we'll go. We'll put the picture-in-picture on, and let's have a look at the oscilloscope. So recovered audio. I could tell this set's very sensitive even when it was not working. So we'll put an S9 equivalent signal on, which is there. So without, I'll just see if I can quickly see on the circuit where the detector is. Looks like it's L108 for the FM detector, L108. So L108 is going to be which? Looks like it's this one here. So we'll see whether we're on optimum. Actually, we've just got a fraction more out of it. So now we'll go on to the sensitivity. Well, at the moment, that's 0.3 of a microvolt, which is excellent. And we'll move the camera onto the SINAD meter. Wrong camera. So yeah, at the moment we've got 0.3 of a microvolt for 12 decibel SINAD. So we're just going to run through these coils and just see whether we can get a little bit more out of it, because we're optimizing it on the UK channels, not on CPT channels. Sounds like I've got a loose connection somewhere. They're not adjustable. Is this the AM detector here, or is it part of the IF? We'll find out. That's having no effect. Yeah, I think we've got that optimized. So we'll look at S9 once again, and we'll see whether that meter can be set to read S9. At the moment, it's 1356. So these are labelled, and RX meter adjust is the one there to the right at the back. These are in twos, so don't think there's as many degrees of display as it looks like. You see them dropping off in twos as I turn it down. In fact, the first one, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we can get up the plus 30. So we've now calibrated that to more or less how I want that to be. So really, that only leaves the squelch. So let's turn the squelch to full. And I want it to come in at 100 microvolts. And it does. That's excellent. So now we'll turn the squelch down to threshold with the signal generator off and standing by at 0.3 of a microvolt. So turn the squelch down and set to threshold. Switch the signal generator on, and in it comes at 0.3. So let's do a fine little test on that. I can't lose the squelch off my signal generator at 0.05 of a microvolt. That's the signal generator off, that's the signal generator on. That could be the best squelch action I've ever seen on any set ever. That's incredible. Now it also has this digital squelch, I think that is what it means. So we'll switch it to that position. So now we switch to that. That's what that subboard does inside. So we'll switch the signal generator on. Again, we're at 0.3 of a microvolt. And that's cut out, which is fair enough. So let's see what it's set to. So it's set to come in at 0.11 of a microvolt. And it leaves it 0.09 of a microvolt. So once again, that's very good. Now, that might be too sensitive for mobile use. So you might be resorting to the manual squelch. There is a squelch adjustment preset here for the normal squelch. And that's there. And presumably, the preset on the subboard, with it being the squelch subboard, it says DSC, digital squelch. The preset for that is there. We'll leave it as it is. It works fantastic. So that covers it. It's taken a week, just over a week to do, and it's held this bench up, so it's been very frustrating. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to have to find some screws. Hopefully it's standard screws and not some strange. Let's have a look. Hopefully it's these. I'd hate it to be something smaller. Yes, it's M3.5 or something, M3. Yeah, so we should be able to put that together. So we'll just do that. So I previously soldered the wire back on the speaker. And that's the internal speaker working fine. But for me to send this back, it's the faff of repacking it and going through eBay's sending it back procedure. Even if it hadn't cost me a bean and I'd had a full refund, I've had one of these sets on the list for 3 years. At the end of the day, I've paid £55 for this with the postage, and these are over. I for some reason I've not been able to get one, and when I've seen them, they've been over 100. So I'm not dissatisfied over the deal, and I say I don't think the person has deliberately played any shenanigans with me. It's just somebody will have passed it on to her, and she sells a lot of baby clothes on eBay, and oh, I've got a CB radio, you can put that on. Oh, it's new, but it's actually new blown up. But I've had this before, time and time again, even buying things from somewhere like Argos. I always get the Duff one, and I find it cheaper to fix things than it is to get in the car and actually drive back to the shop and exchange it. You've got all that faff. So that's the set, which will be very pleased that it's working once again. And Mr. Chippy's been wanting to test this. Have you done that set yet? No, waiting for parts. He says, why don't you just put something in that you know would work? You know, why don't you just put a general purpose transistor in that you know will do the job? But if you do that, and I've got to kind of pretend with you viewers that I've fixed it, and then order the right part, and then take it apart again and put the right part in, it's not going to change performance. But it's kind of, it becomes a cheating channel then to me, and I just waited for the part. I says to him, if it hasn't come today, which is Tuesday, I says I'm going to have to put it in a box because we want to test the PNI little set. Is it the 6100? We had the 8001, 8000 and 8000L, 8024, and they worked great. Then we had the 9001, which had such serious software issues. I really ought to have reported it to our government because it actually becomes not legal, but I've let it slide. So hopefully the 6001 is going to work really well. Somebody's asked me if I would look at it and see what I think, and I will do. So that's our forthcoming attraction. That's their little baby set. And there we have it. So I'll plug the aerial in. Somebody sent me a comment, tidy up your bench. No. Right, we'll just pop the camera out a bit. So we're on an aerial now. We could have lost picture in picture long ago. It's got scan, so we'll leave it in the auto squelch position. and that's done exactly nothing, so we'll go out of that and we'll go into manual. "19, Roger." Well, that's somebody talking. I've done this now since UCB became legal in November 1981, and even back then there were people with these echoes. I wish I knew what it was about, because if it was any good, the police would have them, and the fire brigade would have them, and the ambulance would have them. I'm in business radio, I don't get it. So there you are. And they'd go into space, wouldn't they? And Man on the Moon would 111, small momo, steps 411, mankind, yeah. There you go. Right, there'll be a forthcoming attraction of the on-the-air test, hopefully later on today. And the next set is the brand new PNI 6001, I think it's called, which is the tiny little, like the Midland M Mini, but it's their version. So we'll see what that's like. So, been long drawn out with the repair side of this, but you know what, the radio works great, apart from only doing 3.2 watts output. But that really doesn't matter. Our test set's a bit mean like that because of the way it measures. Thank you for watching the TTI TCB771, which is just about a current model.